You just had a baby. Now you're going through this
Yes.
crazy
Yes.
cosmic experience, and you're just keeping it to yourself. Hi, and welcome to the Kid and Friends podcast. Today, my guest is Dr. Marina Smirnova. She is a transpersonal psychologist, consciousness researcher, and professor at Saybrook University. Born on Sakhalin Island in Russia, she began her academic journey in music education before pursuing counseling and psychology. Today, her work explores consciousness, spirituality, mystic experiences, and the transformative events that can fundamentally change how we understand ourselves in reality. How are you?
Hi. Thank you so much. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I watched some podcasts, and I book out some of my podcasts so far in advance, I forget what I'm talking to people about before it's time. So I started doing some research on you, and the first thing that popped up was the transpersonal psychology. And I'm like, what the heck is transpersonal psychology?
Yeah.
And I started diving deep into it. Like, I had a full conversation with my chat GPT while I was driving for work today. And I'll give you what I think it is, and then if you could correct me, that would be fantastic. So transpersonal psychology is the psychology of the experiences that are more internal and spiritual versus regular psychology. And there's openness for interpretation and lessons to be learned, and they're not a result of something, they're part of the whole process.
I love your deepening.
Okay.
Yes. Transpersonal psychology, I usually like to give a general overview. Yes, psychology of spirituality, which a lot of it is inner experience, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Wisdom traditions of the world, highest human potentials, and exceptional human experiences. And definitions are many.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So it could be a little bit of everything.
Yes, and what I really appreciate about it, and which you're tapping into, this internal, private, deeply subjective experience that carries tremendous value.
Okay.
This is where the deep subjectivity of human experience is honored,
yes,
and encouraged and met with gratitude and is beheld in essence.
Okay. And as I was looking that up, the EHEs popped up, which is the exceptional human experience. And I can't tell you how many podcasts that I've had guests on, and they mentioned having the full human experience. And it didn't really make sense until today, where I was putting the EHEs together with the transpersonal psychology. And if you could elaborate on the EHEs for a little bit, so we all are on the same page when we start the conversation.
Yes. And of course, every person who is inquiring about exceptional human experiences, or EHEs, is finding their own edges, of that diamond, if you will.
Yeah.
So exceptional human experiences. I came across literature from the 90s that specifically began identifying exceptional experiences, exceptional human experiences that are standing out and kind of rising out of what was then called anomalous experiences.
Okay. Is it kind of like where they changed the term for UFOs to UAPs?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And language evolves. And that is, I think, is a sheer grace of the divine that we're able to evolve our language as our levels of consciousness are rising individually and collectively. And so I really appreciate when we're able to do it, hopefully for the benefit, and for revelation rather than concealment.
Yes.
I have to mention that.
It seems like a lot more people are open to speaking about their experiences. And I'm new to the game, if that makes any sense. Like, I've lived my whole life behaving and acting certain ways, and then about 6 years ago I quit drinking. And the second I quit drinking, my mind changed, the way I started thinking about things and the way I processed things. And then, like I told you, my podcast turned into a spiritual self-help podcast, which was not my goal, but apparently it was what I needed. And so I find that as I'm having these conversations with folks a lot has opened up since COVID because a lot of people had time to spend with themselves. And they got to look internally versus externally because there was not a whole lot of stuff to do, right?
And going in.
And now people are open to it. There was a huge separation between holistic medicine and traditional medicine. Now it seems like they're kind of a blend of a lot more of that. And maybe not 50-50, but the holistic is complementing the traditional medicine and sometimes going the other way, depending on whatever the cause is. And people are more open to expressing what they're going through. Like, I just went to an event in Wisconsin. It was called Contact Modalities. And
good for you.
It was a consciousness expo. And I went with a friend, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And I said, I'll go. He's like, do you want to know what it's about? I'm like, nope. I'll just experience it when I get there. Yeah, and that's what I did.
That's good.
And when I got there, I had some of the greatest conversations with people about the things I'm going through, and I didn't feel different. Everybody was open to it, and nobody looked at anyone's stories as unusual or strange or anything else. So it gave me that vibe. Like, people are at that point right now where it's like show and tell. You show me yours, I'll show you mine, and they're open to talking about it. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And a lot of people have had these exceptional human experiences. And as I was researching you, I tuned into a story about you when you were 4, and you were at, I believe it was a daycare, and you were hanging out with another child. And you had a moment that happened to you that opened your eyes at a really young age. And if you could just tell me what happened there, I would love to hear that story in person.
Absolutely. So I'll keep layering, right, weaving together, because there's so much to exceptional human experiences, and we're beginning to learn. And that story, definitely the story. So think of exceptional human experiences, and as we continue our conversation today, as something that arising from, first, we have experiences, again, that in the past, quite often were pathologized because they did not fit in the mainstream framework, in the mainstream paradigm.
And real quick, why do you think that doesn't fit in? Is it people were uncomfortable with it and lack of understanding?
Yes, on many levels, because we were taught that we are only that.
Yes.
Our human identity was limited to only that, to whatever at the time source of mental health, spiritual health was utilized. Yes, whatever that was. And granted, we're evolving now at a much higher pace in this century than before. Technology is only a reflection of that. Yes, but spiritually, I believe that this is happening for all of us. And so what used to be so often pathologized and quite often is pressed down, and no, we don't talk about this. No, we just, don't talk about this, or else people will think that person lost their mind, right? And then as those experiences keep happening in a different context over a period of years, decades, lifetimes, sometimes lifetimes, because some individuals do have that recollection under different circumstances. As we progress, our experiences that do not fit into the restrictive paradigm or worldview accumulate enough personally and collectively that we say, I can no longer deny that there is much more than this materialist view in the world where consciousness is placed not as a primary, but as a byproduct of activity of the brain. Right.
And they're happening so frequent that you can't ignore them. It's kind of like having a stone in your shoe. Right. And you're like, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to walk for a minute on it. And if you walk far enough, you have to get that shoe out or the stone out. And it's enough there that you're aware of it when it's happening. And like, you can ignore it a little bit, but you're going to feel it the whole time you're walking, and you feel it in your everyday life.
Yes, and imagine what happened to me. I could imagine happens to others too. But the time I do decide to actually take my shoe off, there is more than one little something there.
It's all stones.
Okay, so it's kind of, yes. And I live in Sedona.
Yeah.
And I live very close to Red Rock hike areas.
Yeah.
So I just, walk out with my dog and we just, go straight and make a turn and ta-da, we're in the Red Rock. Yeah. And of course it's sand.
Yes.
A red, there's a lot of red sand. So, and I happen to more often now wear earthing shoes. And just the very basic where everything can get in.
Yeah.
So when you use this metaphor, it's like, oh, Christopher, you got it. It's just so wonderful.
The shoes connect you with the earth, but they also don't keep all the stones out at the same time.
Correct. Yeah. And I actually like it this way, because there's something about it. So by the time I often stop to actually shake my shoe off, shake my shoe, shake out whatever has accumulated, it's more than one. Okay. By the time it's more than one. And chances are I'll take the next few steps and I already have something there going on.
Okay. So it's the same as having those experiences.
Yes, very similar. There's just, I believe that this is such a continuum. It is such a grace.
Yes.
I really learned to see it as a grace of the divine that we're gifted with these unique experiences, right?
Yeah.
And going back to this, continuum that leads us to understanding a bit more of exceptional human experiences. So when we start with experiences that are completely often denied, pathologized, neglected, repressed, kept under the veil of silence for generations, then they accumulate enough in a person's life, perhaps even in the family's life, in the community life, where we say, okay, there's more. So we're moving from anomalous to exceptional experiences. Okay. And for us to call it exceptional human experiences or EHEs, we've got to begin integrating and deepening enough in them.
And do you mean by integrating them, is it learning the lessons that it's trying to show you and then applying those to your life?
Yes, and then some.
Okay.
Yes, and then some. And then we're moving individually and collectively holding this experience as exceptional human experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
And yes, what is integration? Oh my goodness, where do we begin? What is integration?
Well, I want to finish the story from when you were 4.
Yes, exactly.
So,
but that's kind of a continuum, right?
Yeah.
So in that story, I had no language for what happened to me. I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
I was on Sakhalin Island, and just as a backdrop, it's a gorgeous place.
Mm-hmm.
The nature is so evocative there.
Is it a warm place?
Of course, no, not really.
Okay.
So summers can be warm enough, but it's the season of summer season is not long enough, not warm enough for fruit to develop fully. For instance, you cannot grow apples.
Okay, so everything's imported for the most part.
Well, you can grow potatoes.
Okay.
You can grow cabbage. Yes, and people have like greenhouses, etc.
Sure.
Just agriculture is alive and well there. It is just limited.
Okay.
Limited. And so in winters, a lot of snow. So when you ask me, is it a warm place? No.
Okay.
No. But most of the time it's overcast and a lot of rain and occasional sun. But in the mountainous areas, there's quite a bit of sun in winter.
Okay.
So people do skiing, and so they actually have to wear eyeglasses or masks, etc.
Okay.
So here we were, my friend and I, both of us 4 or 5 years old, sitting in the government daycare outside, and it happened to be a wonderful day, warm day.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting outside, and I'm sure we were not the only one because it's a group of children. And I had an experience that was so beyond words as a child, right there, and with her as my witness, that she had to ask me, like, "Are you okay?" I said.
And what were you doing at the time? Were you staring off into space and kind of still and frozen in place while you were experiencing something else?
Yeah, so I was really my body was positioned with her, and I was aware of both
Okay.
that ordinary domain and also what we now understand as a transpersonal domain
Yeah.
or spiritual realms.
Okay.
And I was able to have one foot in and one foot out. I would not say that I had an out of body experience. I don't think so. But at that time, the veil opened for me, and I became aware that there's so much more
Wow.
around us that is available to us than right here, right now, my wonderful friend. And so
Yeah.
she was so taken by whatever, however I presented to her in a different way, that she wanted to make sure I'm okay, but she was also mesmerized. Both of us were mesmerized. What's going on? And gratefully and thankfully, no adults interfered
Right,
at
to
that
ruin it.
moment. Yes, exactly.
Right,
So we
to
can
tell you it
dwell in
wasn't
it.
something that it was, and to give you whatever they thought it was.
Yes, thank you. And that experience, until I became an adult, I really held it close to my heart.
Yeah.
There's something about it so precious and so sacred and so intimate.
Yeah. And do you recall like where that other foot was, where you were at on the other side? Are you in a physical place? Is it like mentally? Is it something completely different visually? Is it like, how did you experience that other side of it?
Yes, thank you for asking. Of course, beyond words.
Yeah.
Yes. It almost as if the limited understanding, limited view, even the visual view, ceased to be valid. I went like this.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, I as if, and even my background right now, I'm sitting kind of in this celestial realm. It's almost like the celestial veil became available, and they were both laid one over another. So I cannot say
you're
that
looking at like if you had a transparent picture over top of another one.
Correct.
Wow.
It went just like this. Yes, and look at this as we're talking. All of a sudden, like yes,
all my monitors just went off while I was talking to you.
Because this is what's happening. We're talking about this. We're returning to this.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Christopher, it's not uncommon.
Hang on
It is just
sec, I got to move everything back
it's
over.
A validation.
It switched sides on me, which is crazy.
I saw it too at my end.
Hang on one second here.
Oh, sure.
I've had so many times lately where something like this has happened in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you're looking at two different environments laid over top of each other at the same time.
Yes. And to me, what just happened right now technologically, it's a confirmation that we're re-entering.
Yeah. Both monitors went off. My my soundboard just went off. All of my pictures went away and then came back like 5 seconds later.
Yes, same. Okay. I saw it on my screen. Yes.
Yeah, that was crazy. So you're in two different places at the same time, and are you in wonderment and awe of what you're seeing overlaid over what your normal visual would be?
Complete, Christopher. It was such a gift to me as a child and to a human being, because part of me is there right now.
Yeah, and do you tell your parents about it when you go home?
Oh, no.
So you just keep this to yourself and your friend?
I tell no one. Many experiences I told no one till I became old enough to be able to have language heard and actually be comfortable sharing about this, because it also is an invitation for others to look deeply into their lives and recall and recollect the gifts along the way, the spiritual experiences as our gifts along the way. So when we work with them and integrate them enough, then they become exceptional human experiences. So now I feel that I'm integrated enough that I count it as exceptional human experience.
So you could go back and look at that experience and have a better understanding once you were better educated.
Yes, and it's not simply formal education, I want to note. Formal education is valuable and important as long as it is a high quality education that goes beyond the agreed upon paradigms.
Hang on one more sec, because your screen just keeps popping off too. So everything's going batty here. Hang on one second.
Well, to me it's good. To me it's good. It's a validation.
This is so weird though. It doesn't normally do all this. Like even my iPad that has all my stuff on it.
Uh-huh.
is locking up.
Crucible to me is a casual experience,
Yeah.
but it's also this experience of a validation that yes, we are following that beam.
So I don't even remember where we were at when that happened, but it was pretty amazing that I lost all my power, everything as we were talking. And so when you were a child, you were having these experiences, and you held them inside until you got older and were more in tune with yourself and had the ability to look back.
Yes, and have the language and to be confident enough that now I can speak about those experiences without hesitation, because I was strong enough, integrated them strong enough that no matter what anybody would say, it's not going to affect me. And this is a big point of integration, remember?
Sure.
How you ask, okay, what is integration?
And do you mean by that, do you mean fear of judgment from others?
Oh, good question. Fear of judgment in some way, yes, but mostly energetically, we react or respond even without saying anything. And because I'm energy sensitive, and I've learned this about myself, for me to, even if a person is not saying anything, to me, they're saying a lot. Okay, so, and I think each of us has our unique edges that need tending and need protection. And so part of integration is when do we share and how do we share and if we share with others. Yes. So meaning that for us, in order for us to really make fully our experience ours, if we share about it with individuals who are perhaps either not open to hearing or not open at that time, or they do not have enough understanding or openness frameworks that help them to hold it, or for any other reasons they're unable or unwilling or have no capacity to offer a supportive container, we should not share.
Okay. Yeah. So someone who doesn't understand it, you shouldn't express it to be just correct, because they're not going to understand it at all.
Yes, and because potential exists there to negatively affect our integration process.
Right. Like, so if you were that 4-year-old child going through that experience and you told your teacher or your parents what you were going through, they would put their own perspective on it and completely change it for you.
Sure. And fortunately enough, it never occurred to me that I wanted to share with them until I grew up.
Okay. And how do you how do you look at the world the same after that? It's got to be really hard.
After that.
Yeah. How do you view everything around you once, because at 4 years old, that's a pretty heavy experience. At 24 years old, it would be heavy. At 34, it would be heavy, but you were presented with it as a young child. And did you ever get an idea of why it was presented to you by the universe?
Yes. It was seeding what is yet to come.
Okay. Kind of like they seed clouds, like they're, rain.
It's just, or how we plant seeds in the ground, in the soil.
Yeah.
Yes, for them to sprout, under conditions that are favorable enough. Yeah. And then they sprout, and then we have to tend to this. Yes. So thank you for asking deep questions. So for me, it's in my family. I'm the only one who, in my family line that I'm aware of, as far as I can tell, that I'm the only one who is in mental health field.
Okay. Does anyone else have any experiences?
Experiences, yes. However, yes, on my mother's side, in the bloodline, we're gifted with intuitive gifts.
Okay.
And beyond. My maternal mother, who is my maternal grandmother, really was a healer. It is just that she never worked as a healer.
Okay.
But people were coming to her after she was 50, and they were asking just, for certain things from her. This is how she found out, okay, obviously I can no longer deny this. And obviously, I will not go into the profession of healer, but I will help people
she'll engage in it. And was it something that she connected with when she was young and somebody talked her out of using it? And
thank you for asking. It's interestingly enough, she was very private till throughout her life, but specifically when I was questioning her, when she came to visit me here in the U.S. in the year 2000.
Okay.
We spent a number of months together here in the U.S. And I've asked her if she could tell me, if she could teach me. And her question was, why do you need to know, child?
Wow.
And no matter what I said, it was not enough for her to open that conversation. So I think that happened for several reasons. Granted that first experience when I was 4 and 5, that just opened the veil to the cosmic dimensions, yes, to the divine that exists, the spiritual world that exists. I feel that it was an initiation of a kind.
Okay.
Saying that it's mine.
Yeah.
And it's from me. And even though there's no one else around me who formally will take on to be formally in that field, it is for me. And so even when my grandmother already knew that, hey, I'm shifting from music education, from teaching music, and I'm shifting into counseling and later on in transpersonal psychology, she still felt that if from my perspective, that if it's truly mine, I'm going to find my own way.
Okay.
And yet she was not going to put a burden on my shoulders. Yes.
Okay. And is that, do you feel that that's the best way for people to experience these kind of things? Because I find when I tell people about things I've experienced, it seems like everybody's an expert and they want to tell me exactly what I went through.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And for me, like I was in Washington, D.C. over the weekend interviewing an artist. His name is Atif, and he did the painting behind me up on the wall. And it's layers and layers of different pictures in it. And he had told me while he was experiencing everything that he didn't share it with anyone else. He was as a child, he was keeping these experiences to himself. And it was that same thing where he didn't feel like he needed to share it with anybody because it was going to be tainted in a way by someone else's opinion.
Yes.
Okay.
And Christopher, granted, it did not even occur to me as a child that I needed to share this with anyone. It was so deeply private.
Yeah.
And it was so mysterious, and it was so awe-imbued, complete awe.
Yeah.
Complete awe. I not even did I didn't even have a language.
Right.
For myself.
Well, at 4 years old, you barely speak any language anyway. So to put some thoughts, some deep thoughts behind it has got to be really tough.
Exactly. But as my experiences continued, yes.
Yeah.
There came a time where they became so intense that I did not want to see anymore, didn't want to witness this anymore. And I asked, and the veil was closed.
Was it you being overwhelmed by it and not having the ability to protect yourself from being overwhelmed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because more was revealed to me, and I felt frightened.
Yeah.
And because at this time, I also did not share with my parents what was happening for me, I felt like, oh, this is a little too much.
Is it because there's no filters and nothing to slow it down?
Yes, it was deepening to such a way that I was seeing and I was witnessing the spiritual realities that were not available to others at that time. And that sense of, oh, it's just me and me, and it frightened me.
And there's no shutting off, right? Like you could close your eyes and go to bed, but it's still going.
Correct. And what worked for me, and I would imagine it worked for more than individuals beyond the circle I know, yes, because it does work for a number of people. When we say a prayer, and it doesn't have to be a formal prayer. A prayer could be, I'm asking for help. Source, I'm asking for help. That could be a prayer. Oh, please help. And that's a prayer. And of course, there are intricate ways to ask. But when I ask as a child sincerely, the veil closed. And I felt very, very safe. Until such a time that as an adult, I asked, I want to see again.
So when you were asking for it to stop, were you asking for it to stop completely or to slow down?
No, I asked to stop.
Okay. because everyone I talk to that
Yes.
has like I got the same guy I was talking to last week. I had a plant medicine woman from Peru on a couple weeks ago, and she was going through the same experience. Overwhelming amount of information that's coming in and no way to process it because you don't have time to think about the experience because the next one is coming right behind it. It's just like rapid fire. And a lot of people I've spoken to have gone through that same moment where you said, it's too much. I got to stop.
Too much. Yes. Especially for me, I knew when it was time to stop, when I became frightened.
Yeah. And how old were you at that time?
I was in the 3rd grade, I would imagine, around the 3rd grade.
Okay.
And there were several experiences that precipitated it. And I believe that I was actually prepared. Again, it's seeding after seeding after seeding, and it's layered. But it became too much for me. I became frightened. So I will give you an example. In 1982, I just finished 2nd grade on Sakhalin Island, and my parents decided to move to the mainland. Okay. Because of the floods, and it's just holding on, to belongings. Nature had its glorious
survival
ways.
Mode.
Yes, survival mode. And my mom said no. After that flood, big flood where people lost mostly everything. Okay. She says, we just need to build life on the mainland. Yeah. So she decided to move. And we had relatives in Ukraine. This is where part of my bloodline in my mom's side is. And my mom wanted to exchange the apartment because then people could not own property in former Soviet Union.
Oh, okay. It was government owned.
Yes, but people were assigned to a certain apartment. Yeah. And my mom came so close to exchanging the apartment from Sakhalin Island to an apartment in Ukraine, close to our relatives in Ukraine, but it fell through. Okay. And it took 40 years for us to realize the sheer grace of the divine, why it fell through.
And what was the reason?
Well, the reason is unfortunately that we would be suffering and destroyed in that land right now.
Oh, okay.
It's unfortunate. Yes, very, very unfortunate. And so my mom, the closest she could exchange the apartment to was, even though Ukraine did not work, it was Belarus. Okay. And Belarus shares a border with Ukraine. Belarus is north of Ukraine. And so this is where my mom is till this very day. And so in that sense, when we're talking about speaking, not speaking, what happens, how that happens. When we got to Belarus, apartment belonged to someone else, obviously. And at that time, a mother who was an elderly woman, she lost her daughter just shortly before that, maybe a year or so before that. Okay. And she decided she's going to move to the island to be with her other daughter. Okay. So when we got into the apartment in Belarus, and it was a small apartment. And by the way, what we call a 1-bedroom apartment here in the U.S. is actually a 2-bedroom apartment there. Oh, okay. Because the living room, it counts as a room, right? Okay. So, just so you know. So when I say it was 2-bedroom apartment, it was actually a 1-bedroom apartment in our understanding. Yes, here in the U.S. And there was a room that I could hardly walk in. Because I felt the presence of. Okay, there was an intense energy. The person who was in the spirit, very intense, and I was frightened. I couldn't tell my mom too. And granted, there were some items left of, unfortunately, just a few items left that belong to. And is this before you asked to shut everything off? It was before. Okay, so you're overwhelmed in this new home, in this new place. Correct. By whatever energy was going on before you even got there. Yes. And so I felt so frightened that I felt so connected to this person that I've never known. and the connection was not a favorable one
was it
was too
not
strong.
Yeah.
Too strong. Yes.
Is this entity or experience not a good, was the person not a good person?
I feel that it was not about the person so much, but about my capacity to hold the adult experiences. I was a child.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But intensity was adult intensity.
Okay.
Adult level intensity, and I was not prepared.
Yeah.
And so that really frightened me. And then from there on, there were a series of experiences where finally I said, no more.
When you have that prayer in that moment when you're asking Source to stop downloading all this stuff for you, does it instantly shut off?
Almost.
Okay.
I don't recall that it was a full stop right away.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it was so graceful that I stopped being afraid.
So you developed a relationship with the Source to have a little bit of trust in it, saying, okay, if you're going to dial this down for me a little bit, like maybe I should trust you a little more.
I did not even, so interesting, right? Again, larger containers. Yeah. In the former Soviet Union, religion was prohibited.
Oh, okay. All forms or certain ones?
Vast majority of them. So people who were the old faithful ones, if you will, who were still holding on to spiritual and religious life, they were doing it underground.
Okay. Because it was frowned upon.
Oh, yes. And my mother, being a college professor, she could not take me to church as a child, even though we lived right next to a beautiful cathedral church.
And was that church just shut down?
It was kind of existing there at that time when I was a child, but the doors opened when I was 16 or 17. However, 2-3 years before the doors of the churches opened to public, because things changed fast, my mom snuck me in the back door of the church.
Just to show you around?
And to baptize me when I was 14.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And at that time, Christopher, she was risking her job. Yeah.
Probably risking a lot more than that.
Yes, because if somebody to find out, well, the consequences just are untold.
And that's interesting. What do you think the reason for shutting down religion was?
Oh, that was all political.
Okay, but all religions, it just seems odd that there's something trying to disconnect you from whatever your source is.
Yeah. But it changed when I was 16, 17. The doors were just wide open. Yeah. But unfortunately, yes, there were decades upon decades of time where people could not practice in terms of spiritual and religious practices. They could not. That's another podcast. That's another podcast.
It sounds like it's one.
Yes. And coming back to your question too, in terms of source, I could not say that I was speaking to God.
Yeah.
Because even as a child, I remember that I'm not supposed to.
Okay.
Right? I'm not supposed to. We're not supposed to. It's not even a thing. And yet somehow I did reach out for help. Reach out to the source beyond words.
Okay.
And that was enough. Christopher, that was enough. Words help us. Yeah. And yet when we reach out for help, when we ask the divine, God, whatever it goes, cosmic wisdom, whatever name we put to that source, yes, in my experience, that blessedness answers us.
Yeah, and so everything shuts down, and if I remember right from those other podcasts I was listening to, music was a big part of your life, and you were really focused on that. When do you reconnect with these abilities? Is there a moment that you experience, or do you ask to have them turn it back on? Like you're calling the power company and say, hey, I'm ready to have my power back on. I'm paid my bill.
I love you. Thank you.
How does that go where you get reconnected with everything, and then where do you go from there?
Yes. So in my experience, and that could be so or not so for others, I think each of us gets to have our own unique experience. But for my lived experience, it was much easier for me to stop than to restart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, stop was easy.
Yeah.
Restarting was much more a stretched out process.
Okay.
And I will give you an example. I had a powerful mystical experience, which I can call now mystical experience, after giving birth to my child.
Yeah. What was the experience?
The experience was very much amplified from the one that I had when I was 4.
Okay. And is this happening while you're giving birth, or is it shortly after? Okay.
After, yes. And it was so many octaves up that I completely blissed out. So because, the hospital systems worked very differently then.
Yeah.
I was put in the hallway so that people can check, in terms of making sure that the bleeding stops.
Okay.
And so that I don't bleed to death. And so periodically nurses were so kind to come and check on me, but I just remember they were there.
Yeah.
And they were there just
so this is right after you're having the baby.
Oh, yes. Right after. In the hallway.
You're still in the hospital.
Yes, in the hallway of the hospital for the last 3 hours.
Day.
I know. And yet, Christopher, it was so intense, and it was not just simply, a few minutes. I don't know how long my experience lasted in terms of chronological time when I was 4 or 5. Well, let's say it was a 10, 15-minute experience. Okay. After giving birth to my son, it was 2-3 hours experience.
Wow.
Uninterrupted. And it again overlaid realities, and yet so strongly not here than here.
How long was your process of giving birth? Was it something that happened
long,
quick?
24.
Okay, so you're suffering for 24 hours in
36 actually, but 24 is kind of more intense. Yes.
Right. And I've seen live births. It doesn't look like it's fun. Right. And so you're suffering through this birth, and then your son is born, and then all of a sudden this is kicking back in.
Yes. And it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon, actually. I think that each of us can, either individuals who are able to make a birth process itself quite a more blissful experience and more on the other side of the spectrum. And for me, I feel that was, again, a reinitiation. Okay. Yes, reinitiation. Because in essence, it is a spiritual emergency. Mm-hmm. Let's just call it. Right. Yeah. Spiritual emergency. Why? So spiritual emergency and spiritual emergence are also language now that are becoming much more available to us, but it has been with us since the late 80s.
And what's the difference between spiritual emergence and spiritual emergency? Does one need to be addressed real quick?
Thank you for asking. So as the language suggests, spiritual emergence, yes, it has much more gradual flow of unfolding events that may or may not present a certain degree of turbulence. Nevertheless, they're much more manageable. Okay. In a person's
not as overwhelming.
Correct. Yes, and not all-encompassing, and where individual says, okay, I definitely need help because this is just, can't cope with this. Sure. And spiritual emergency, as you know, emergency, even the word itself saying, okay, this is on, and this is full stream, an individual needs to be supported properly through this. Yeah.
And did you have support in the hospital? I mean, you had the physical support of the nurses, but
exactly,
was there spiritual help?
No, spiritual help was not in the human sense, and yet I could tell you the spiritual help came through that mystical experience of absolutely blissed out 2-3 hours.
Is it in the form? Because I've heard you on the other podcast mention guardian angel.
Yes.
Is it through a guardian angel that's basically your doctor at that point, guiding you through this spiritual emergency. And then I have a second question. Is there any difference between spirit guides and guardian angels? Are they the same?
It depends how individuals perceive them.
Okay.
You know, there are those who perceive them as interchangeably. There are those who separate them. I really encourage that every person trusts their own experiences.
Okay, so put your own thoughts to it and not.
Correct. This is where
don't get tainted by somebody else.
Yeah, thank you. And it's wonderful to know how others hold it. And they're generally, usually information that we can find can be helpful. And yet, I trust in the wisdom of our own experiences and in the depth of our own experiences. Yes. So for me, going back also to weaving this back in terms of guardian angels. So the first time that I really felt my guardian angel and then some was when I was in third grade.
Okay.
So things shifted, as you could see, in Belarus for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was spared. I was spared from an accident that would had been very severe.
Yeah.
And I was spared to a point I didn't have a scratch on me.
Wow.
And I also couldn't tell about this experience till I was an adult.
Yeah. And so while you're in the hospital and you're in this moment of bliss, are you able to appreciate the birth of your son at the same time?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So you're just filled with joy.
Yes. Frankly, it was like a cosmic level celebration. If you were asking me in the personal level, right? On the person, and of course, neither nurses nor the doctor knew what I was experiencing inside. I never told them.
Right. And
never
so
told them.
You just had a baby. Now you're going through this crazy cosmic experience and you're just keeping it to yourself.
Yes, it was crazy good. It was so wonderful, Christopher. It was, again, a different, much higher octave of the experience when I was 4 and 5.
Okay.
They see how it actually came back on board, but in a way how I can hold it. Yes. Intensity was there, and yet the whole embodied experience was so positive and so affirming and so beholding and so expanding once again. But it was in a way I could hold as an adult.
Wow. And
I could hold it.
What do you do once you have the gate reopened and now that everything's starting to flow again? Like, how do you process that? Because now you have a new little baby that's there with you as well, and that's a lot of responsibility. And if anyone I've ever met, I have 4 children, but if you ever meet someone who's had children, the children become the priority and you put yourself off on the sideline. Yes. So you have this wonderful moment, but you also have the baby. How do you handle both?
Yes. And I did just that. I put it in the back burner.
Oh, okay.
I put it in the back burner because the reality was very stark for me.
Yeah.
On many levels, and breastfeeding and everything. It was quite stark.
Okay.
And I was in school and I was working, and it's just, it was a lot. So I put it in the back burner until such a time. And again, it didn't go anywhere in terms of, it left me and it left my, consciousness.
Right. You also weren't asking it to leave you either.
No. Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. And it was so healing. That experience was so healing. Maybe this is why it was gifted to me after the labor.
Yeah.
Yes, because it had complications in it. I could have been very, very severe, and by the sheer grace of the divine, everything somehow worked out.
Wow.
Right? And so worked out for me and for my son, because both of us were kind of in a potentially treacherous territory, but we both made it through beautifully. Yeah. And so then all of a sudden, this cosmic stage, this cosmic domain opens up, but at such a pace again, at such a level where I could hold. And when it happened, allowed me to hold it better. Please understand. So I did not feel it as something that is a burden. I felt it's something that is elevation.
It's a gift.
Correct. I did not experience it such. And so from there on, granted, I had to put it on the back burner because of, okay, reality kicks in and everything needs to be as it is. Yes. So many years pass by. And while I come to the US and I begin teaching music, and I stay with the teaching music line of work.
What type of music are you playing?
Piano, but I'm also trained in choral music. So I'm used to conducting choirs.
Okay.
So I'm not instrumental in the sense of a band. That's not my territory.
But a voice choir.
Yes, absolutely, and a piano. So a little bit of that. So
sure.
Enough of that, actually, and how it linked for me into the future. You see, there are always like seedings and breadcrumbs that still led. So when it came a point for me to decide what I want my master's in, I knew that it has to be a field that touches upon those experiences.
Were you aware of transpersonal psychology at that point, or had it not presented itself to you?
No, they have not been aware. And you see how life and the divine have their weaves for us to navigate. The reason how I even found out about that counseling program, I was in Michigan at the time, was I was substitute teaching for a teacher in a K through 12 system. And I was substitute teaching for her because she had to go to school. And we got to talk. And she says, "Oh, it's a wonderful program." I said, "Really?" And she says, "Yeah, it's a weekend program. It's, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, on weekends,
so she's
not all
placed
weekends."
In front of you to give you that information.
Correct. And she did. And I went to the same school, to the same program that she did.
Wow.
And even though the school was, for me, like, wonderful, professors were great, and yet the mainstream predominated. And I knew that there is more. Here's how I knew that there was more, because when I was 4 or 5, there was more.
Yeah.
When I gave birth to my son, there was a whole lot more.
Your eyes were already open to it.
Yes. Yet none of it was even touched upon in my master's program, which was a wonderful program.
Was the master's program the transpersonal program?
No.
Just regular psychology.
Mainstream, and yet it was ahead of its day and time, because we're talking about 2001, 2002, 2003.
Okay.
They already had cohort programs in different parts of Michigan, which was very new approach then. It's been a minute, right?
Yeah.
Time travel. So they were ahead of their time in many ways, and yet in that way they were not. The word transpersonal was not even a conversation.
Right, but it was all traditional medicine based.
Yes. Well, traditional approach to counseling, yes, to helping people through various passages in their life. But it was enough, and I'm so grateful for it. Please understand, I'm very grateful for that experience, because it gave me a lot. And through that experience, I knew that my next educational journey, that would be doctorate journey, will be in the field that is considered to be mental health field, right? Field of the helping professionals. And yet it will be to the more.
Okay.
And Christopher, it took me 7 years to find that program that I really was looking for. And in the meantime, I was working, raising my child, and navigating life as an immigrant.
Yeah, you have that where you're the immigrant. You have that where technology wasn't quite what it is now. The internet didn't have a whole lot of information on it at the time.
Yes, not that much.
The way we use technology now, like everything's on your phone. You can find anything you need. But when I was a kid, you had to either look in a phone book or you had to find a map to get anywhere. There was all kinds of stuff. So you had an idea of what you wanted, but no idea where to find it or how to look for it.
Yes, correct. But I did know that I wanted to continue, so much so that I made a decision in 2008.
Yeah.
That definitely I need to pivot, and I need to pivot like cold. Because if I were to continue anymore doing what I was doing, I'd be still staying in the profession of teaching music, which is a wonderful profession.
Sure. But it wasn't fulfilling, and you knew it wasn't the direction you needed to go.
I knew that it was fulfilling enough for me that I could have stayed.
Yeah.
And yet, because of those bigger than life experiences that I had internally, yes, I knew that I have to continue. I have to continue in this direction and fight it. So much so that in 2008, first of all, I went on a vision quest with a group of seekers,
Okay.
spiritual seekers in Michigan, and we went to South Manitou Island.
And what was
And
that?
we did the vision quest, we did the fasting and the vision quest, and that was yet another opening
Okay.
into deeply personal experiences. And I knew, oh, I am on the right track.
Yeah.
I'm on the right track because I had transpersonal experiences right then and there.
Making that decision to change the path you're on, especially if it's not a bad path.
No,
like,
I loved it too.
I got a term and I got to look it up real quick because I always forget the name of it. Hang on one sec.
So take your time. I'm going to take a sip of my tea.
Yeah, it's called the beta region paradox. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that, but there's
no, I have not. Tell me.
There's a long line and there's a line here and a line here. This line is bad. Everything on the other side of it forces you to make an immediate decision, immediate changes. Everything on the other side of good, you don't have to do anything. But everybody lives between the two lines. Like things are not good enough to want to stay, but not bad enough to have to leave. And
that is the paradox.
That's the paradox. And sometimes you have to jump over the line, rip that Band-Aid off, and do the hard thing to get to the next part. Like, for example, my 19-year-old son broke up with his girlfriend a few months ago. And I said, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm just going to break up with her. I said, do you like her? He's like, kinda, but like, it's not going anywhere. I said, honestly, you're so much further ahead of the game than I was your age, because I would have just stuck it out and just stayed with her, right? Because that's how we were taught as kids. Like, you just tough it out and you just keep going. He ripped the Band-Aid off and he was happy, but he didn't have to jump over that line. He consciously saw the line where he needed to go and then forced himself into it. And with you being an instructor and not having a bad life, kind of liking what you do, that's a really, and best term I can use is ballsy to say, hey, I'm gonna chase this other thing because I know I need to.
Thank you. Yeah, at that time I was K through 12 music teacher, right? Instructor, you can say, but really teacher. And I could have stayed. And yet I knew there's something in me, deep inside of me, knew it. And you know how much scolding I received from those around me?
Oh, probably everybody thought you were nuts and doing like the worst thing. Well, here's the other thing I find too. Like, I opened my own I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a long time. I opened my own school about 7 years ago.
I'm so glad.
Everything that everyone said to me was, do you know most businesses don't last 6 months? Everybody looks at the failure of it. And what I find is that they're projecting their inability to chase the things they love, and they're sitting a comfortable life. And the people that are talking to you are probably like, oh, you have a great job. You're doing this. You're doing that. Why are you doing this? Right. But sometimes you have that inner urge that says you need to chase this dream or do this other thing, regardless of what everybody else says. And so when you're talking to your closest people, are they all trying to talk you out of leaving that industry? And
yes, very much so. Very much so. Well, first of all, it has been on my mind to shift out of K through 12 music teaching and pursue my doctoral degree for quite some time.
Okay.
My trouble was that I could not find the right program. And I tried, Christopher. I tried out the programs, but the first semester before the edit drop, I was done.
Yeah.
Just 10 days in, 2 weeks in, whatever the ad drop was I was done because was not that. So granted, I was able somehow, even with my son then being in the middle school, a lot of responsibility, right?
Are you a single mother?
At that time, when I was making a decision, yes, I was to shift. I was single. So I was.
So you're head of household. You're responsible for everybody.
I'm responsible. Yes. And for me, no matter what relationships life holds to me, I'm responsible.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes.
But making a shift like that, you don't have a backup, like a husband or anything like that, to help pay the bills while you're making those choices. So
yes.
You're kind of putting it all out there.
Well, taking that risk.
Yes.
Yes. Taking that risk. And yet taking that risk again into PhD, single, going into PhD, yes. And just knowing that somehow, and my son is in high school at that time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, he was asking me, Mom, are you sure? Are you sure? I said, yes, sure. Somehow it's going to work out. Yeah. And again, with the sheer grace of the divine, it all works. And then both of us were laughing because he graduated. Actually, it's so interesting that he was graduating high school. I was still in my PhD program as a student. Yes. Yeah. And then we were just chasing, he graduated as a junior from high school. And then he, looking also at me, says like, no, I'm just going to do my bachelor's degree fast. I said, how fast? He says, well, just watch. And he did his bachelor. Yeah. But he also, do you see how it kind of helped him to see that educational weave, that commitment?
Yeah. But you also give him the ability to chase his own dreams because he's seeing you do it.
Yes.
He's not restricted by you as a parent saying what your friends are saying. Saying, don't do this, don't do that, right? Like you're opening his eyes to possibilities if he trusts himself.
I guess it really works out this way, Christopher. Yeah. Now that you say it, I think you verbalize it a whole lot more than I was giving myself credit for it. And I think it is a weave of doing it together, right? I was doing my thing. He was doing his thing. And, he was actually able to graduate with a dual bachelor's degree in a year and 10 months from West Michigan University, and having graduated as a junior from high school. So he was we were in this little bit of a chase, who's going to do it first? Graduate first, who's going to do it? So at some point in time, it became a very healthy collaboration and kind of very
and is this why you're still chasing your traditional psychology?
No,
degree?
non-traditional.
Is this where you're in, what is it called, Sophia College or whatever it was?
Yes, Sophia University, but back then it was Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. So I actually went to the school back then.
Yeah.
This school, the Transpersonal School in the US. And believe me, I heard a lot of, I had only one person at that time who told me, yes, go for that transpersonal PhD program. Psychology, PhD in psychology with transpersonal concentration. The rest in my immediate circle and extended circle said, you've lost your mind.
And do you find the urge to disregard those friends moving forward? Or do you continue to keep those relationships?
Yeah, I think time does what the time does.
Yeah.
Because over time, somehow we circled out of each other's orbits.
Right. Because if you're not flying in the same direction, then there's no reason to keep some of these relationships. And I think what a lot of people do will force relationships that they don't necessarily need to keep. Like, for example, I'm a big believer, I don't need to respond to every text I get. Because just because you have my number doesn't mean I need to talk to you, right? And it's that kind of thing where you're headed in a different path, and if their energy doesn't flow in the same direction as yours, sure, you can stay friends with them when you see them, but it's not somebody you need to keep as part of your life because they're not enhancing you in any way.
Yeah. Okay. And for me also, in the past, I tend to give more to my relationships for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
That was truly necessary.
Okay. But that's a growing thing. And it's
a growing thing.
Learning how to be an adult, because with my generation, my parents, they didn't really teach me how to interact with people, how to behave, how to love, any of that stuff. Right? They just kind of kept us alive. And like the conversation.
They did well, huh?
Yeah, they did okay. The conversations that my parents had with me are nothing like the ones I have with my kids. And the things we talk about. And for that, there was never any conversations like, you don't need to have all these people in your life. You don't need these things. Like there was no guidance on how to grow and to shed the things I don't need to keep. And, that's learned with time and experience.
Learned with time. That's it. Because as you know, as teenagers, as a young adults, we are likely to do just the opposite what our parents tell us to do.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we were likely to say, yeah, okay, but no, right?
Yeah.
And yet that guidance matters, right? And at the same time, could it be that we're gifted exactly what we need as we grow up to sharpen certain edges of ourselves, even if we don't like it, even if it doesn't feel good, even if it's harsh? Yes, that prepare us for the life that we have chosen for ourselves.
Yeah. And have you ever seen the movie Fight Club?
I have.
It's with Brad Pitt. And there's a scene in the movie where the other character is on the plane and he's talking to a gentleman on the plane. And he refers to him as a single serving friend, which is where sometimes somebody's placed in your presence to have a moment, to have an experience, whether it's for a day or a year or whatever it is, for you to learn the lessons and share and then move on. You don't necessarily have to like you can have a great experience. Like how many times have you sat on a plane and had a great conversation? Right. And then you get off, like there's no reason to keep that to keep that relationship going any further. It was there for when you needed it, which is what it sounds like you're referring to. Like certain people are placed in front of you at certain times to give you lessons to learn, either good or bad.
And we give of ourselves too. That's the catch. Christopher, that's the catch. Because quite often we say and acknowledge that, yes, this and this person was placed for me to learn this. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I acknowledge that not only they were a gift to me, I was a gift to them too.
Yeah. But sometimes we don't know that we're having that experience when it's happening. It's in retrospect.
Yes.
And so do you recall your first day at the Transpersonal? I don't remember the name of the college. I remember Sophia. I can't remember the other name.
Yes, Institute of Transpersonal Psychology.
Did you know you were in the right place? Because you were talking about the other ones where you were there until the drop day, kind of like when you buy a car and you test drive a bunch and then you decide on the car.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. and then you found where you needed to be. And how was that experience once you knew where you were needed to
be? Christopher, divine. Yeah. Everything worked out just miraculously, even though I made it more difficult for myself than I had.
Okay.
We all do that, right? Yes, we'll all do this. Well, first of all, from the moment and granted, I was living in Michigan, mm-hmm. and my school was in California, so I had to fly there several times a year for residentials. It was not to be escaped. And yet I remember my first residential when I met a very close friend with whom we're friends to this very, very day. I mean, close friends, several of them, but one in particular. And we meet out of all places in the cafeteria, right there, where we eat all together at the same time. And what happened then, I just knew this is mine. And my roommate.
Did it feel like home, or did it feel like you're putting on a warm blanket? Like
it just felt like I can hardly believe it. And I'll tell you how much it even felt like this even before I stepped on the ground for my first residential at the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. I'll tell you how. So when I interviewed for the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, at that very time, I also applied for and I was accepted to a traditional program. In Michigan, to Western Michigan University.
So there's a decision that needs to be made.
Oh yeah, and decision was very sharp. This is why I think my circles at that time really disapproved of my decision, highly disapproved, because essentially I received a full ride to Western Michigan University for the PhD there, and I was given an associateship, so I would be teaching and receiving.
So the easy path is presented to you and laid in front of you.
Yes. And the not so easy path was with the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, where there was no associateship, no full ride, full loans.
But you knew that's where you needed to be.
Yes.
That's another hard choice.
Yes, exactly. As a parent, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking 2010, right? Here I am. My son is still in school.
Yeah.
Right? A K through 12 system. And here I am venturing into this and knowing that somehow, with the sheer grace of the divine, somehow it will all come through.
Yeah.
And it's
everybody's
not
looking at you like you're crazy.
Yeah. And it's not easy to do it. Do you know, especially for single parents?
Oh, for sure.
Or parents in their relationships that maybe are just
having a job is tough as a single parent. Just getting everything arranged, getting to work, making sure kids take care of, but let alone doing all the educational stuff as well.
Exactly. And yet, that decision.
Yeah.
When I interviewed for Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, right? I knew during the interview that that's my place.
Yeah.
I just knew it somehow. And so when I landed, and obviously before I landed there, I had to make a decision. Do I take the mainstream pathway with full arrangement?
Yeah.
And I will not have to work. I'll just do 12 hours a week. Exactly. I just teach undergrad, 12 hours a week. I get my check. I don't need anything else.
Yeah.
Yes, everything is taken care of, health insurance, everything for myself and my son. Or I take the program that requires me to take students' loans and travel several times a year out of state.
All the stuff you don't have as far as finances as a single mom.
Correct.
Right.
And
so it's amplified. That time,
only one person told me, you know what he told me? And I will forever treasure this. I had a mentor, and he told me, I basically recommend that you take the program, the Transpersonal Law, because this is where your heart is. And he says, you need to come with your soul intact.
Wow.
Through your PhD. You cannot sacrifice yourself.
Okay.
That's what he told me. Yeah.
So you make the hard choice and you go there. And now, instead of just figuring out why people feel a certain way, you are learning how to have them look internally and see the spiritual side of the world and integrate the things from there. And then, what were some of the lessons that you learned that really stuck out to you when you first switched over to that side of psychology?
It felt like my family. I'm with my family.
Okay.
And granted, when I came into the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, and we're talking about August of 2010.
Okay.
So, and I graduated actually a quarter early than my cohort. We were in yes. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Now that you say it, yes. Even though I changed my dissertation topic after my proposal was approved for one topic, I had to change the committee and do it again within all the time frame, right? So even with that, I was able to graduate a quarter early on March 8th, 2013. So with all of this, what surprised me also the most, I guess through this process, to your question too, that when it came to a point for me to change my dissertation topic to a different one, and I remember that because I decided I'm going to shift from a kind of a personal topic to a more transpersonal topic. It's an Institute of Transpersonal Psychology anyway, right? You
got to go that route.
Exactly. And so because I wanted to do it within the context, set and setting of holotropic breathwork, it's a specific approach to consciousness exploration and self-discovery.
Is it part of meditating? What is you said holotropic?
Holotropic, HOLO, and then tropic, one way, right? Holotropic. Think of holotropic as holo means wholeness. Tropic is moving towards. So holotropic really is moving towards wholeness. Yes. So utilizing a specific set and setting, specific long sessions that are using breath work, certain way of breathing, music, support.
I'm super curious, so I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
it's okay.
When you're saying set and setting is like the environment that you're going to be doing things in.
Yes, and it's a big deal for our experiences when it comes to actually how do we actually, first of all, create proper environment for our experiences that we want to have. Spiritual experience, deep inner exploration, right? Transpersonal experiences. They go by many names. And proper set and settings are so important, because if you ask me, even from that experience of holotropic breathwork training, even with Stan Grove before that, when I started training in March of 2010 in holotropic breathwork. So I did really my PhD at the same time with the other 2-year program. So
Wow.
it's kind of, I had this layer. Yeah. I was really going. Okay.
Yeah.
I really go. And so, as I was, navigating all of this, for me, it's what I learned. I'll circle back. What I learned, that I was even reaching further than my transpersonal environment set and setting than allowed, because I chose topic in holotropic breathwork, right? Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, no one would agree to be my chair.
What do you mean by chair?
Chair of my dissertation committee.
Okay. So you need to have someone that agrees to it
Oh, absolutely. For previous topic of a personal nature. Oh, no problem. I had a chair who was a faculty at that time, who was a celebrated faculty in the whole Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. She was absolutely one of the, leaders in the school.
You have to convince somebody of your new idea.
Correct. But she was not convinced. And I bless her, judgment on this. And no matter how I tried to convince her, she says, no, you choose to change your topic. You need another chair, meaning you need another dissertation committee chair. So I come to the dissertation office of then Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, and I speak with the director. And so one of my most pivotal experiences, right? And she was so good to me. And she said, Dr. Jeannie Palmer, she said, sweetheart, if you don't have a dissertation committee chair, you don't have your dissertation.
Wow.
And I understood what she was really telling me. I know that you want to go far out, even in the transpersonal in a transpersonal school, but nobody's going there with you. And so I still found a way. I was able to petition for a person who was not chairing committees at that time yet. So that was the first time that he was able to chair through petition. That was a whole drawn out process.
Was this process part of the universe of putting the right people in front of you?
Yes.
Like the woman
he was the best chair for me. Yes.
Yeah. Did she have insight that she was not the proper chair for you and that you would find somebody else? Was she having some sort of guidance of her own?
It's hard to tell. However, she was, my previous dissertation committee chair was absolutely convinced beyond the measure, beyond the shadow of doubt, that she is not going to chair that other topic on a holotropic, deeply transpersonal topic. And so what happened was a person on my committee and my former committee who was really aligned with my thinking was willing. Then after the conversation, I had with everyone I could, and I came to him and I said, unless you consider taking that position as a chair, and I said, I will do everything I can to petition. I'll do it. I will not have that dissertation, because I was basically told, no dissertation committee chair, no dissertation. And he agreed. And he was the best committee chair I could ever wish for. And it was so wonderful. And even though I, chronologically, I lost quite a bit of time.
Sure. But you got the right guy when you needed it.
Yes. And I was able to gain that time and then still graduate a quarter earlier. So that is to say that when remember how you were telling all of us right here about this continuum, kind of
the beta region paradox.
Yes. When we are able to make that leap forward, knowing in our bones, but this is really important, and ask for proper help and support, because I was asking for help, including that line of help. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Things work out. Is it nerve-wrack? Yes. It's experience. It will definitely. It's kind of nerve-wracking experience. And so here where we can again return very gently to exceptional human experiences.
Right. Right. Having these little things present themselves to you, and some are difficult, and I'm sure there's a lesson in every part of them.
Yeah.
But they work out in the direction they need to continue you on your path.
Yes. Yes. And how even I came to the topic that I needed to shift Yes. Remember, I was doing 2 programs at the same time.
Yeah.
One was my doctorate PhD in psychology with transpersonal psychology concentration at the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. And the second one was a 2-year program, which was then called Growth Transpersonal Training. So it's training holotropic breathwork to be certified, holotropic breathwork facilitator, and in transpersonal psychology. So 2 of them.
Yeah.
So I go into breathwork. Through part of my training, we were in breathwork ourselves, yes, and we would facilitate breathwork sessions as well. And I have this, what I now call exceptional human experience in breathwork.
Okay. What was the experience?
Free of antigens, free of anything, because, I respect those pathways that others choose. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Right. The veil is thin enough for me that I really, really, really know that for me, I don't even drink, Like 8 years at some point in time, 8 years ago, I just had a powerful spiritual experience that told me I have to be on all the time. The alcohol is just, I'm not fully present in the body.
Yeah.
Right. So I just simply said, oh, okay, not for me. So I go into breathwork session, one of the powerful ones, and I understand that I have to change my dissertation topic. And I get also in another synchronistic point, I knew this after one of the residentials. I was in the plane coming back from California from residential from my school back home. And in the air, again, I feel like, oh, I'm done with this previous topic. I'm done, completely done. So there was just several weaves that came together that I knew that I need to change that topic. And in exceptional human experiences, we can have them by day and by night.
Yeah.
You can think of them that experiences that really help us to highlight the parts of our identity that have been hidden from us before.
Yeah.
That's another way to look at them. It's just that's my own explanation, right? For instance, we can look at different categories of or classes of exceptional human experiences. There are many ways to categorize them, but one of the ways is to look, for instance, psychic experiences, mystical experiences, peak experiences, contact experiences with non-human intelligence, for instance, with archetypal beings, with spirits, and so on. Yes, we have dark night of the soul on a deer experiences, where people for a prolonged period of time could feel like, my goodness, God abandoned me, or the divine abandoned me, and so on. Yeah. It's a spiritual stretch of experiences, right? And then you could have a spontaneous healing, for example, death-related, which includes near-death experiences, but not only. It also includes what's called shared death experiences and many other experiences. For example, you can think of premonitions or precognitive experiences that can be linked to death-related experiences and so on. So we're speaking about vast domain quite often because the mainstream for a long time, until now channels
now people can talk about it.
Yes, exactly. But before that, it was like, hush, don't talk about this, right? Yeah. So because people are holding certain, roles in the world, certain professions and so on, they really need to present themselves that they have capacities to hold those positions, right? Yeah. So, but in the past, it was questioned. And so in that, when we speak about exceptional human experiences, it is much more so now than ever before. We're realizing that many more of individuals across the world had them. Yeah. They just don't know it.
Right. Or didn't acknowledge it, right? Or it was beaten out of them as a child, or somebody put their own spin on it, where they gave it, like when you were 4, if you would have talked to somebody, would have been a different experience. So people are going through all these things, and, maybe they're not understanding them, and maybe they're not sure how to incorporate them into their lives, but that's where you come in.
And there are many more. There are many others who take it seriously.
Yeah.
To receive training, to receive education, to stay with us individually and collectively, personally and transpersonally. Because to me, this path is an inner path.
Yeah.
Yes, unless I am following my own spiritual growth and development and transformation pattern and integration with, I've got nothing, Christopher. Yeah. Unless I do it myself, I've got nothing.
And so when you're working with a client and you're getting an idea of the experiences they have, do you find that obviously more people are open to talking about it, but do you find that people to have a lack of understanding of how to apply whatever message was given to them?
So thank you for asking. In this, I work with students and also I work with clients. So I have two different lines of work, just to be clear.
You're a professor at Saybrook, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I am a professor, yes. Happen to be award-winning too.
All right.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And I have been working with students, graduate level students at Saybrook since 2013.
Is that in a transpersonal program as well?
Yes. So our university is deeply humanistically grounded. We have a deep humanistic legacy and also transpersonal legacy. So the program I am in now teaching in is a PhD in psychology. Yes. And our department is Department of Humanistic Psychology. Okay. And we have various specializations, and specialization that I happen to oversee as its director is consciousness, spirituality, and integrative health specialization. So you would imagine that students and alumni from Saybrook in general, but specifically from our program with consciousness, spirituality, and integrative health specialization, have been exploring what you're asking about, not simply academically, but also personally.
Sure.
This is how students come to us, because quite often they have personal experiences that they may not have language once again to hold. They may not have environment surrounding them, individuals who are able to give them what they're looking for, and somehow deep in their bones they know that they need them more.
Yeah.
And they come to us. So I work with students as their mentor, as their faculty, as a professor, instructor, really, as a specialization director on the one hand. And on the other hand, I have clients or those whom I mentor or outside of Saybrook. So for clarity, yes. And I've helped both for quite some time. And quite often we also help individuals informally, as you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Remember how you mentioned that conversation can happen on a plane? This happens a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That happens a lot, where individuals come and all of a sudden we have that conversation that both of us in some way were supposed to have it. And to your question, I really believe that we're just only scratching the surface of who we are.
Yeah. It feels like it.
Yes.
Because 5 years ago, people weren't even really talking the way they are about now. And if you go on the internet, at least on my algorithm, there's a lot of hate and racism and anger out there in the world. And then there's all this other people trying to love each other. Like it's like two opposite ends of the spectrum that I'm catching on all my social medias. And I'm sure there's stuff in between, but there's a lot more people that are falling on this holistic spiritual side now.
Yes.
And I while you were telling me all this, I was thinking about how wonderful it is that there's probably people out there that don't know that these options are available as far as education. And you
finding them.
Yeah. And you are opening their eyes to it as you're having these conversations on the podcast.
Yes. And anytime that I am gifted a chance to speak, I take it, even though, frankly, I'm a very private and deeply introverted person.
Sure.
It's for me, all I got to even show up in front of the camera, and I'll keep doing this. Because guess what? Because there's at least one person,
that's all
one individual, exactly, in the whole vast community here who will say, I needed to hear this today. And that means it was worth it, Christopher. It was worth it, And so, yes, and I think that I love the questions you're asking because they keep percolating in my mind, right?
Yeah.
I really appreciate this about you. And I think that no matter how we are lost or semi-lost or largely lost in the language of expressing of our experience, it's okay. We're not alone, but knowing that this is a valid experience, it simply needs, again, proper container, proper set and setting for integration it's important to remember this, because in holotropic breath work, back to, when I started in March of 2010, I was taught right away that to have the fullness of experience, we need to have at least 3 stages: fundamental,
Okay.
preparation,
Yeah.
experience, and integration.
Yeah.
If we miss any of this, we're jeopardizing the architecture that legitimately has to be put in place for us to hold our experience and to grow from it.
Right. Because if you don't integrate anything you learn, then the experience is worth nothing. Like, I'm a big fan of psychedelics, right? Psilocybin, to be specific. And I've microdosed thousands of times. I've had some hard journeys, but every time I've been in any of those experiences, like, some sort of lesson is presented to me. Yes. And I'll take those lessons and try to apply them immediately. But then there's other people who will have an experience. And for example, like, a lot of people will think of psilocybin as like a party drug. And really, it's a medicine. And if you treat it as a party drug, whatever's presented to you, there's no integration after, because you didn't learn anything. And so when you're having these holotropic breath work and somebody's having some sort of experience because they're in the right setting, the music's right, like, everything about the physical environment is correct, does that open the door for the spiritual to present itself in a better way because everything else is aligned?
Thank you for that. And that's, again, preparation, experience, and integration. Just what you mentioned, yes. And by the way, holotropic breathwork experiences are opening all of the domains that, intelligence and psychedelics open. It is that, well, for me, I really, breathwork is enough for me, and just daily living. And I would say daily, not only exclusively daily, but also day and night, because we're receiving information, by day and by night, as you know. For me, that's my choice. And I respect the choices others make. I absolutely do. And just know that even now in growth legacy training, holotropic breath work and training in terms of tending to others who are engaging the psychedelic medicine are going hand in hand.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because facilitators who learn to help others in psychedelic domain for integration, for instance, they're absolutely required to be trained in holotropic breath work themselves, go into this process themselves, integrate it themselves, go through all of the 3 stages. And for me, when I was going through transpersonal training, psychedelics were not included at all in terms of helping people to integrate psychedelic experiences.
They really feel like they're back in the mix in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes. And rightfully so, because they hold tremendous potential. And to me, again, it's a great opportunity, and it's also great responsibility.
Sure. And as far as holotropic breathing, like, what is holotropic breathing? I'm assuming you have the set and setting, but there's a process or a technique that's involved.
Yes. And I will be very brief without any intricacies. Just understand there's a lot of intricacies.
Just to give me a basic understanding of what it is.
Basic, yes. So for instance, I'm a person who would like to experience holotropic breath work. Well, first of all, as we mentioned earlier, holo refers to wholeness. Tropic refers to tropane, moving towards, right? So holotropic meaning moving towards wholeness. Think of holotropic states are sub-state, if you will, or specific sliver of states, of expanded states of consciousness that help us, specifically designed for us to move towards wholeness.
Is it like tuning into something?
So think of it this way. Yes. So if we talk about Carl Gustav Jung's ideas, so he spoke about the process of individuation. Or a process over a lifetime, and sometimes we can say lifetimes too, becoming fully ourselves,
Okay.
individual, right? Fully ourselves.
Like your true self.
Yes, authentic self. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And he also talked about wholeness and archetype of wholeness. And the self with the capital letter S was for him as an archetype of wholeness or totality of who we are, bringing all of us together rather than continue to shave off our own energy pieces just because we're supposed to be this way, that way, this way, what have you. So we come to holotropic breathwork. I will speak for myself. I came to holotropic breathwork to retrieve my soul.
Okay.
My energies, right? To understand myself better, right? To actually pivot and deepen my experiential understanding, to hold daily experiences that I received from the time I was born, but specifically when I was 4 and 5, until this very day. It helped me tremendously in helping to hold that domain where no one else in my surroundings was actually really holding it really well, with the exception of community, Michigan community that I was a part of, spiritual community.
But they were all like-minded people.
Like-minded, absolutely. So this is why it's so important. And typically you will find the holotropic breathwork community is also a community of like-minded individuals. Okay. So I would go to holotropic breathwork, let's say retreat, and we would have preparation. Means there's a lot of theoretical information about, for instance, 3 parts of the psyche, 3 domains of the psyche, expanded domains of the psyche. One is biographical, then perinatal, and transpersonal domain is much more than biographical than mainstream is addressing, right? Yeah. There are 3, and this is what constitutes an expanded cartography of the psyche that was postulated by Stanislav Grof. Then we will be educated on what the process will be like. We'll be instructed that, hey, session is going to be, let's say, 2.5 or 3 hours. Yeah. We're going to be working as a group, but as a group, we will be paired with individual in the group. Whoever that individual is, we can know that person or not know, doesn't really matter. Okay. And when I am going, for instance, in a session as a breather, I will lie down on a mat and I will have a sitter who will be sitting right next to me that would constitute the 2 people in a pair who are breathing. Yeah. And let's say there are 5, 10, 20 other partnered, dyads, and we will have also facilitators. Okay. And let's say as a breather, I'm lying down on the mat and I'm already having the preparation part of it. I already know what's going to happen generally in the session. And someone, let's say holotropic breathwork facilitator who is certified, would lead a opening meditation, which is typically relaxation.
Because like a guided meditation?
Yes, quite often individuals are very nervous about going in this process because we're often thinking, okay, the fear, what's going to happen? Yeah. What if anything happens? Or what if nothing happens? Yeah. Right? Like, what if something happens? What if nothing?
There's also that fear to meet who you really are sometimes.
Yes, because remember, we were told that we're this much in terms of our identity, where our identity is so much larger and so much more mysterious and incredible than we imagine. And then, so I would lie down, a holotropic breathwork facilitator would do a introductory meditation relaxation session. And then we would be asked to begin breathing a little bit deeper and a little bit faster in a circular round and about way. There's no specific way beyond that, which I think is a grace because every individual is different. Yeah. And so the music begins, and the music is constructed in such a way that it actually holds a person towards reaching, building up.
Is there certain frequencies as part of the song or the music?
I would imagine,
or anything like that?
Well, I would imagine that people who make their own sets, because this is part of holotropic breathwork, they would utilize their own musical skills and musical know-how to include the music that follows the specific trajectory, again, that beholds the cycle safely, and allows the culmination and also build up the culmination of the session and allows just coming back, and kind of beginning of integration process. And then after that session, and all the while, by the way, my sitter, so-called, will help me with whatever I need. If I need to use a restroom, or if I need Kleenex, or I need to, whatever I need to do, they're there to support me immediately. Do you see how important that is? as a safety container there.
Is part of their job to keep you in the moment and not let you be distracted and taken out of it?
Correct. I may have an agreement. Each of us would make an agreement with our own sitter. Yes. Yeah. Each breather saying, hey, knowing my own process, I would say, if I do that, would you please help me to go deeper in this? Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. For instance, maybe there's an encouragement, a word, yes, or maybe a certain preset understanding, preset contract, if you will. Yes.
Agreed upon beforehand to keep you in the moment.
Exactly. But typically the goal of sitter is to keep me and anyone else who is breathing safe. But specifically my sitter will tend to me only. Uh-huh. And if I ask for assistance, then the sitter can offer it or call the facilitator to do that, right? Because there's certain body work that's utilized to help the experience to unfold deeper. Sure. But everything is done in a way that I say what I need. Mm-hmm. And it's when I'm ready. Even the facilitator knows that I need something. Even if they know this, if I'm not ready for it, it doesn't happen. Okay. You see, so there's this very high level of respect in embodied transformation process and integration. Remember this preparation, this experience on the mat? And now when the session is done, integration process, even though it already begins on the mat, while I'm still breathing, because remember, music trajectory builds it up, culminating, and then it's going to bring me down kind of to begin integration process. Then my sitter will take me to a art room that's specifically set up where I can make a mandala. Mandala is a sacred circle. I could draw in that circle. I can write things in the back. I can really create.
It's like a debriefing almost?
Yes, but it's in a way that does not require language. Okay. You see? Sure. So it's kind of, it helps me to hold whatever comes through. I can paint, I can draw, I can use crayons. But typically in my sessions, I would not only draw, but I would also write in the back. Okay. It's just my own process. Most people don't do it.
And it's not a level of creativity at that point where like you're making something, you're putting down whatever feels like it's supposed to come out.
Correct. It's not a competition. Yes, exactly. Okay. There's no need for creative talent of any kind. Right. And in fact, to me, whatever is coming through needs to come through. Okay. And this is where we honor those experiences, whatever they are. We honor them and we know that they have layers of meaning that we will begin, continue the integration through writing the mandala. And then we have sharing circles, for example. Okay. And also the beauty of it is that we reserve right not to share. Yeah. Like when you were 4. Because thank you. You don't necessarily need everyone's opinion on what happened. Exactly. And typically these sharing circles are very respectful. They are not in terms of interpreting or offering kind of therapeutic perspective. More no, they are correct. Listening and offering support. In fact, so much so that if anyone has a question or want to offer insight, they need to ask the person who is sharing. Let's say I'm sharing about my experience in the circle. Yeah. And someone has a question or has an insight. They need to ask, is it okay for me? And I could say, thank you so much. Not right now. Okay. And they will respect it, and it's well understood, and it's fully supported. Do you see how you need to process a little bit sometimes on some of these topics? Exactly. And even if a person started, even if I say, yes, okay, go ahead, share, and the person is sharing and something in me does not agree and say, thank you so much, I'm good. Yeah. But there has to be that limit, that ability to be respectful of other people's experience. So it takes a certain type of person to be able to sit in that circle as well. Yes, and it takes certain kind of preparation. Remember, we talked about that's the preparation. That's the incredible value of it, because all of us are prepared in a very similar way for that. Yeah. And all of us also are guided through all of this. So a preparation, experience, and integration. Is there a topic that is selected for each person? Like if I'm going to be a breather, do I have something I'm intentionally working on? And does that often change? Like, so I feel like a lot of times somebody will go into something thinking they need to learn a certain lesson, and maybe something else is told to them while they're there. Christopher, you once again, your questions are really poignant. Thank you for that. You're welcome. this is such an important part of the process. We're invited to go into holotropic breathwork session itself. Let's say I'm a breather. I'm invited to go with an absolutely open mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm invited to surrender to whatever my embodied psyche is presenting me during that experience, no matter what it is. Surrender to this. And in fact, we're invited to release any and all expectations, just to let them be
blank slate.
Correct. And simply, again, as we begin breathing, to invite that full surrender to the wisdom. In holotropic breathwork, by the way, Stan Grof called it the inner healer. That's the language that exists, the inner healer. That means that we are trusting the inner intelligence of healing variety, of healing capacity that's operating well 24/7, whether we know it or not, to engage us. And we also have trust. And again, within that process of preparation, experience, and integration, we also have trust that whatever my individual psyche is going to present to me during this session, let's say here and now, holotropic breathwork session, if it were, then that means this, I'm ready to process that. That whatever is ready for my processing means I am able to hold whatever is going to be presented.
I love the idea of the blank slate. Like, how many times have you had a conversation with somebody and you couldn't remember a detail, right? And the harder you look for that detail, it never shows up.
Yeah.
But then hours later, you're driving your car and you're not even thinking about that. And it's there. So you need to be in the car having that blank slate and not thinking about the thing that you need to think about.
Yes, thank you. Because there are so many layers to our experience.
Yeah.
They overlap simultaneously, yes. And then another thing that, let me share with you, another way how I like to hold it, and it's not specific to holotropic breathwork at all.
Sure.
To me, it's specific to our spiritual journeys.
Yeah.
I would like to just pivot just a little bit and speak about Joseph Campbell and his, what he calls hero's journey. And I like to think of it as heroic journey to be more inclusive.
Okay.
Yes. And so Joseph Campbell was a mythologist, world-known mythologist of higher caliber, one of the highest caliber. And he transitioned in late 80s, and he left us with legacy. We can YouTube him, we can go on Audible, we can, look at books and print. We can see his recordings from different Joseph Campbell.
Okay.
Campbell like soup. Campbell, right? Okay. Joseph Campbell. And by the way, there's a very interesting film that engages his ideas, but also at a level that is so accessible. It's called Finding Joe, Joe, Joe for Joseph Campbell, and it's on YouTube quite often. Finding Joe. Okay. It's a very accessible rendition of the heroic journey that I will mention right now. Finding Joe, it's called. So Joseph Campbell really spoke to the heroic journey. And again, his language is hero's journey, but I will use heroic for inclusivity throughout his lifetime. And think of it as a 3-part process. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be linear, and quite often it's not, but I will offer it in a linear way for now. So it's separation from realities as we know it. Yeah. Our mundane realities, status quo. Then we're deepening or descending into the unknown. Lions and tigers and bears are mine, and we're navigating tremendous territories there. Very challenging. Quite often we don't know if we're going to make it in some sense, right? In some sense, in one sense or another. And then the part 3 is return, or coming back. And Joseph Campbell said, coming back with a boon. Okay. Coming back with a boon for him, right? So I will repeat them one more time. So separation from reality as we know it, deepening into the unknown, right? So it would be descending into the unknown. And I see my internet is not stable, right? Oh yeah, okay.
For a second, but you're fine.
Okay, right. So I'll say it again.
We were having another moment.
Yeah. Well, we may be just in a different way. Yes. Thank you for your sense of humor about it. But we can't make this up, right? No. Yes. It's just part of the conversations. That's how we know we're not alone, huh? Yeah. Yes. And so back to Joseph Campbell's ideas. So initiates. So we have separation, right? Then descending, quite often it's called initiation into the unknown, and then going through all of this turbulent process, very challenging, and coming back or returning with a gift, or Joseph Campbell called it a boon.
Wow.
And you know what Joseph Campbell said, that gift or a boon is really essential for the journey to be complete, and it has to be rendered to the community. For each of us to hold on to it, to that gift to ourselves exclusively, it means our journey is incomplete yet. And who's in a hurry? We're not in a hurry. But remember, we need to share at our own pace, in our own time.
I
and
think
we're
a lot of people think
where?
of things like I told you I own a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school. There are so many people that want to learn everything right away. And I have to have conversations with them. And the thing that I say to people all the time, that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you're going to get there when you get there.
Yes.
There's no rush to the finish line. Like, take your time, learn the things the way you're supposed to learn them, and learn everything. Don't cut anything out, and don't shortcut yourself either, because that shortcut is going to cut you out of something else later that you didn't learn.
Christopher, this is where also, once again, your language and mine, and there's this connection.
Yeah.
Because I also quite often remind those whom I help that this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And even precisely, and I think that there's wisdom. There's so much wisdom, because I know the feeling of wanting to go faster. I know it myself too well, because my intellect in the past would just be relentlessly high-paced, relentlessly. And now, yes, part of my transformation is how to go with the pace of the body.
How to slow it down.
Slowing it down on purpose, and actually with not just like, oh, darn it, I have to do it. No, with grace.
Yeah.
And with honoring for the body's wisdom. There's something about it. I know it's not comfortable, at least for me, not comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And yet I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better in honoring the body, and negotiating and renegotiating this mind, body, psyche, spirit, heart territory time and again, because yes, I'm good at going fast. But am I good at going slow?
Yeah, you're getting better at it, right? But here's the other thing. A lot of people don't understand there's no finish line, right? Like I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said the word awakening.
Correct.
And she corrected me and said awakening, because you never actually get to the finish line. You're always opening yourself up and learning more, but you never know everything.
Thank you. And we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to know everything. And could it be that, again, we're speaking in transpersonal language, right? The idea of past lives, or we can call them previous lives, because at times previous lives can be in the future, right? So kind of past life could be confusing.
Well, time's not linear, as far as I understand it now.
Exactly. And so, in that sense, when we're opening ourselves to that possibility, right? Even if individuals don't need to even believe in past life experiences. However, we have enough accounts now, human experience of individuals who say that they have these experiences. So in humanistic and transpersonal psychology, we honor those, deeply subjective experiences, and we give attentive ear to those experiences. There are plenty of them. So could it be that we are continuing our life's work from what was there before? Let's say it was previous lives, right?
Yeah.
To this life, whatever our lessons are whatever we chose to focus on, and that will continue to the future. And speaking of all of this, it just we have some incredible research for decades. For instance, Raymond A. Moody has done tremendous work for the field. Yes, not only he trained first in philosophy, but he pivoted from there on to become a psychiatrist, and then he pivoted really from traditional psychiatry to really be a counselor Yes, a kind of philosophical, I think he calls himself, at least at time in the past, a philosophical counselor.
Okay.
What he studied for so long and gave us a language, who do you think it comes from, the language, for instance, near-death experience? Raymond Moody. Yes.
Okay.
Raymond Moody coined this, I believe, in mid-70s, maybe 75, when his first, for many life-changing books came out, Life After Life. So, and he continues this work. But what he showed us, that even though he started with experiences that he coined near-death experience, or NDEs, even though he started with this, he ventured well beyond it. For instance, now he has articulated for us in a variety of ways a phenomenon that's called shared death experience.
Okay.
That tell us that not only it's deeply subjective with near-death experiences, yes, in a shared death experiences, in some sense, another individual or more than one become a witness to this phenomenon. So we can no longer say that it's deeply subjective.
There's too many people have experienced it, and too many people have seen others experience it.
Yes, there evidence. Yes, there evidence upon evidence upon evidence over the years, over the decades, that there is a whole lot more to the transpersonal domain.
It makes me think of DMT experiences that people have. Millions of people have done DMT over the years, but they all report experiencing similar things and seeing similar entities. And people that have never even talked to somebody about their experience meet somebody else who's had a similar experience, and then they talk and they're like, oh, I met the same people. So how do you deny that? It's impossible, because there's too much evidence, to your point, and too many people have seen it.
Yeah. And interesting also connection, remember, to holotropic breathwork. Yeah. For instance, knowing that I respect other people's choices, how they would like to navigate their own consciousness and self-exploration. Yeah. And I respect my own choices, right? So even though I've never partaken in ayahuasca ceremony, never, nor do I have plans to at this time, right? Yeah. At this time.
Well, honestly, it sounds like having birth and going through a mystical experience at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your sense of humor. Thank you, Christopher. And yes, even though I have never partaken in ayahuasca ceremony, nor do I have plans to at this time, I have encountered the Aya spirit in holotropic breathwork.
Oh, wow.
I've encountered her, the divine divine. I've encountered her in
minus all the vomiting and everything else. You don't have to go through all that.
No buckets necessary. Yes. Even though, granted, in holotropic breathwork, we do have small little bags just in case if it's needed, even though no one is taking anything that would provoke it, right? But because the body system at times needs to release in different ways. So if there's something needs to be extricated, it can be done. Right. Sure. So just know that. But that's the paradox. This is why there are so many practices that do not engage psychedelic entheogens and so on, and give us access.
But there's people out there that are afraid of doing ayahuasca, and now you're presenting holotropic
breathwork.
Breathwork as another option, which somebody might have learned that just this moment where we're having this conversation.
Yes, I'm so glad. Yes, I'm so very glad. Thank you, Christopher. And in that, I would also recommend, just from your heartfelt sharing, because I've learned to trust myself, and I paid very high prices when I did not.
Yeah.
So much
trusting your intuition.
Yes, I very much extend that invitation, a welcoming, heartfelt-centered invitation for others who are perhaps fearful or uncertain, or maybe somehow deep inside, deep in their bones, they know that a certain approach is not for them. Yeah. I ask them to honor this, to consider honoring that deep knowing, because who am I to tell you what's right for you, Krista?
Sure. You have to come to that conclusion yourself, but
exactly.
Knowing the options is part of it. Like it's when you were looking for your PhD and not sure where to go, right? The internet wasn't so great at the time, but
No.
you found it, and now you have this opportunity to let people know that, hey, there's other options and you can explore those, have a similar end result or experience, but the process is completely different.
Yes, and know that quite often, even at that time when I was searching for schools, the word transpersonal was not even on my radar.
Yeah.
Because it was never uttered during my master's degree in counseling.
Right.
Never uttered.
You can't know something that's never been presented to you.
Correct. Yeah. And once I understood and kind of deepened into this, I said, aha. Yeah. I see. And I had help with others, right? Again, like-minded community. Sure. Even within that community, only one person said, yeah, go for it, because you have to come through your PhD with your soul intact. And so that's another message also for consideration. Right. As we all navigate,
trusting your intuition.
Correct. Yes, as we all navigate this complex decision making matrix in our life. It's a kind of almost like a fabric of decision making, where weaves are up on weaves, and then just something, all of a sudden there's something is created, right? Out of all this pivotal moments. Yeah. So my invitation for us is, I will weave something you shared earlier, to consider that we hold a generous amount of wisdom for our own life inside us. It's folded inside us for the times when we are ready to unfold it, unpack it. And could it be when we're willing to surround ourselves with individuals who are far from perfect, and yet they are honoring the fullness of our own life.
Well, I love that you just said that, because there's so many times that, as a coach, I have 170 people on my team, so I have conversations all the time.
Oh, good.
And name of my gym is Good Vibes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, by the way. And I'll have conversations with people, and somehow I'll have information from an experience that I never thought about or learned anything from in the moment. But when that person's asking the question, that knowledge and wisdom is coming out of me because of something I learned that I was unaware that I learned at the time.
Yes, and that's it, because it's somewhere in our, physical body, energetic body, into our mind, body, psyche, spirit, heart and soul. And this is where it's at, because the wisdom is folded within us. Even we already know that what was called the junk DNA is not the junk DNA.
Yeah.
It is something, again, that will continue to light up for us when we're ready. That we surround ourselves with individuals who are earnestly on a spiritual path, who are earnestly willing to support us on our spiritual path, as without judgment as possible, and yet truthfully too. Yes, because there's tough love conversations to be. Yes, and also tap into the vibrations in our being that were folded in us as a fundamental one. I'm going to talk about love, Christopher. You mentioned that dichotomy, right? Between the one side, when you were talking about, I believe, Facebook or something like this, feeds on one side, love and peace, and the other side, just the opposite. We know already, even through map of David R. Hawkins, he was a psychiatrist who also managed to get, in addition to his MD, a PhD, who was a very successful psychiatrist over 40 years. And then he had a spiritual pivot, spiritual awakening, where he really became a spiritual teacher, step away from mainstream world. And he actually was living in Sedona for a long time before he transitioned in, I believe, 2012. So he used muscle testing collaboration, a very sophisticated, simple enough, a sophisticated enough approach to create a map of consciousness, a map of truth that starts from 1 and goes to 1,000. And 1,000 is like the top our nervous system can handle. Yeah. Right. The top we can handle. So from 1, it would be the lowest, the most dense and heaviest states of consciousness we can experience. And one of the lowest ones would be shame, for example, right?
Misery,
so very, very
sadness, everything.
Absolutely. Apathy, all of those things. And little by little, we're gaining energy, right? Little by little, we can come, let's say, 200, which is a fear. Then we gain energy. Then we come 150, which is anger. There's more energy. Right. Then 175, there's a level of, pride.
Yeah.
And it's only till we get to 200 on that scale from 1 to 1,000 that we are reaching a level of courage.
Yeah.
And for David R. Hawkins, that was a game changer. This is where, when we are reaching that level of courage, we're saying, I am willing to take responsibility for my life. I'm willing to live with more integrity, more truth in my life.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, when we make the decision, David R. Hawkins taught us that we stop attracting the detrimental energies.
Right. The things that are on the same frequency start sticking with you.
Correct. Yeah. And granted, throughout our lives, we're going to navigate the fullness of this, that scale to our highest capacity. And the trick is here to set a camp, metaphorically speaking, in the domains that are after the 200, not below, even though we're going to visit those territories.
Right? You're going to touch on them just with life presenting itself to you on a daily basis.
Of course, it's natural, yet we pull ourselves up, at the level of courage, and then beyond, to return where our camp is, where our home is. And look what happens after. So 200 is courage. The intellectual domain is 400s. No matter how brilliant we are intellectually, it is not going to take us further than 499.
Right.
But
which isn't even mid-scale.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But you know what will take us beyond 499?
Love, compassion, empathy.
That's it. Christopher, you named it. That is exactly it. At 500, we have love.
Wow.
At 540, we have unconditional love, and so on. And then the higher states, 600, 700, higher states of awareness, mystical, spiritual states,
sure,
and so on. And really, in our avatars, highest spiritual individuals who achieve highest spiritual attainment are at 1,000. But granted, archangels are 50,000. Right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
But we can't, our nervous system is not going to take that much voltage.
We're not,
Too much
not ready for it yet.
No, not yet. And yet we're transforming. And that is to say, back to this invitation, could it be that the more we're willing to cultivate self-love and self-tending and self-compassion, the more we're able to offer it to others? We already know that love heals.
What's one of the biggest sayings? You can't love somebody else until you love yourself. And for a lot of people, that has no meaning. But when you put it in that perspective, changes it.
It changes, yes. And that means I'm there, you are there, and everyone else to their level of willingness and their capacity. Because unless we start with ourselves, and saying, guess I'm here for many reasons beyond my comprehension, beyond my wildest ideas. My identity is so much richer and deeper and wider than I ever imagined. What are the chances that I am gifted with this life? And could it be that the more I lean into self-care and self-love and self-appreciation and self-compassion, self-forgiveness, I think self-forgiveness is a biggie, the more I'm able to offer it to others. So we start within and we expand. It's almost like we learn to radiate. You and I lit the candle before, right?
Yeah.
It's like this. We keep lighting the candles within and they keep radiating the light. However small it is, doesn't really matter. Light is light, Light is not light. And so for me...
And what does light do? It pushes the shadow away.
Thank you. Yes. And the more we remember who we are, that we're made in the image of the divine, goes by many names.
Yeah.
The more we can even consider that we are stardust walking. the more we consider that these instruments, no matter what they look like, they are of divine nature.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're all more connected than we think we are.
Exactly. And so why not begin and continue to cultivate that sense of honor for the divine, for nurturing our own being.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, psychological, in every way. Because we are here in this earth school for many, many reasons beyond our understanding. And going back to Raymond Moody, accounts after accounts after accounts, he shows us time and again that individuals who had what he called near-death experiences, or NDEs, and those who had shared death experiences too as well. That's another large category, very, very helpful. When they come back, when they return to life, after, let's say, heart completely stopped and they were pronounced to be no longer living. Yes.
Yeah, physically dead.
And, exactly. And then against all odds, against any medical understanding, they're back. Quite often when they return, they change their lives. They cannot can't no longer live in the way they lived, because quite often what they experience, that veil lifting, correct, and they understand many of them went through what is called a life review. Yes, where the whole life was presented to them. And the key point is here too, it was presented to them not only from their perspective of experience, but also how their actions affected others.
Yeah.
And they're able
to get a full perspective.
Correct. And they come back in the body and they change their lives quite drastically and for the better. And they gain so much more zest for life.
Right.
For appreciation, for
kindness. Because they know what it's like to have it go away.
Oh, yeah, and for forgiveness. And also at the same time, Raymond Moody teaches us that they lose fear of death.
Yeah, I actually heard you say that on another podcast. And as I was listening to you say it, I related it to myself. Like for my entire life, I was not afraid of death, but not sure what's on the other side is probably a better thing. And not knowing what's on the other side, concerned. And as I'm going through my own personal growth, I've realized I'm a soul that will continue to keep coming back and learning whatever lessons and experience the things I need to. And when I do die, it's not the end of me. And I think that's the thing that you're talking about right now, is when you realize that it's not the end of your story. It's just a different version of it. It's a whole lot less scary.
Yes. Yeah. And it also, thank you so much for sharing. And I had my own version of something similar. I would just share this with you. Actually, I was in South Manitou when I went to the Vision class, 2008, August of 2008. And it finally stopped being an intellectual understanding and it began dropping into the body.
Yeah.
So it's one thing for us to intellectually understand it, yes, but it's another thing to allow our entire vessel, ourselves, to know that, this embodied knowledge.
Yeah, it changes everything.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
Now, may I ask you?
Yeah.
From where you are at in life, here and now, just where you're at in that stretch of navigating and learning and growing and sharing and teaching and awakening, what would you recommend to someone who happens to come across this podcast and is looking for your words of wisdom?
You know what? The biggest thing I could say is be open to everything. And when there's a lesson presented to you, understand the lesson and find a way to incorporate it into your life. And the lesson could be so tiny and just a brief moment or a brief thought, and be aware of those synchronicities that allow you to understand that's the right moment and the right thing that's happening, and to accept it for what it is. And to understand that when things aren't going your way, sometimes there's a reason for it. Like maybe it's telling you to change your life course or change your relationship or do whatever you need to do. But my overall advice would be to just open your eyes, allow everything in, and pay attention. And that would be the best thing I could do. And to your point with the holotropic breathing is to whatever lesson you learned, integrate it right away. Because, like, for example, when I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's so many guys that want to use the same technique every class, every time they're wrestling with somebody else. And I'm like, you just learned something new and you had an opportunity to apply it right there, right while you were wrestling. And if you applied it at the moment on the day that you learned it, or you actually finished that technique on a day where that other person learned the technique as well and they know what you're doing, it'll stick with you. But if you save it for that next class and you learn another lesson on top of that, you forget about the old lesson and then it never gets applied. So take the lesson you learn in the moment you learn it and apply it as soon as you can, and it'll stick. And that might be my better advice than the other conversation.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And we'll take all of your advice, right, into consideration. That's the whole point, because each of us gets to consider and then decide what's right for us. Yeah, that's the beauty. And, you mentioned this something, and you took me back to a time when I was living in Belarus. I had a neighbor who was a floor higher in our apartment building, who was a retired teacher.
Okay.
And she was adamant every time she would catch me, going up and down the stairs, leaving or entering the apartment building. She would make sure that she asked me, how am I doing, and whether or not I am repeating what I'm learning within the 24 hours.
Oh, okay. So she
was huge. And she was in her 80s. Oh, at least early 80s at that time. And she wanted to make sure that I repeat or turn back to something or review something new within the 24 hours at the frame me learning it.
Wow. And did you remember that before now, or did it just pop into your head?
I remember that sporadically in some random spots in time. Do you know, it's not like, that's a rule of thumb. Not kind of like this, but somehow it's popping up now again.
Wow, that's interesting.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Because and now we already know that there is actually we understand how neuroplasticity, right? The brain neuroplasticity works. That there's a windows that are much more favorable than others. So,
and that's where your integration at the end of the experience really takes place, when you're drawing your mandala, and people are putting their information in there. They have a chance to process it.
Yes,
and then they have a chance to apply it because they understand what just happened.
Yes, and I understand, as many layers of it as they can.
Yeah.
And at the same time, remember those conversations, those circles, integration circles, happen within the 24-hour period too, as soon as we can.
Right.
After the session, obviously, we need to eat. People need to eat. People need to, have dinner or lunch whenever session is scheduled. And so, Christopher, one more thing is that I'm so grateful that you are not only inviting openness, but you are cultivating openness.
I'm trying.
You're doing. Trying presupposes failures.
Some days are better than others, I'll tell you that.
Yes, and this is what practicing is. Right? Practicing, just keep engaging whatever we are engaging, because that sense of openness in and out of itself.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful door. And of course, we get to navigate what we're open to, how we're open to, and having boundaries, because, one of the rules in holotropic breathwork is safety, 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 support, 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 respect, respect, respect. Wow. And we keep repeating it. Safety, 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 support, 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 respect, respect, respect.
I feel like you and I are going to have some more conversations.
I would love that.
I would love it too. I actually have a trip. I'm planning on going to Sedona at some point in the near future, like in the next 6 months or so. If you don't mind, I would love to sit down and do an interview with you in person. I think it would be really fun.
I would love that too.
In the meantime, I'm probably going to cut this into 2 episodes, which will be my first time because I ran long. And
Yes.
where can people find you for educational purposes? And then where can they find you for spiritual health purposes? And like, how do people get a hold of you?
Yes, thank you for asking. So I teach at Saybrook University, as you already know,
Mhm.
and people can find me through searching a faculty profile on Saybrook University webpage, or they can email me directly
Okay.
at M for my first name, Marina, first initial. My last name, Smirnova, Smirnova, at
Mhm.
saybrook.edu, at Saybrook, Saybrook.
Awesome.
So it will be msmirnova at saybrook.edu.
Okay.
And I also, from time to time, I post on my Substack. So I have Earthside Academy on Substack. So Earthside Academy is a good way also to connect with me. And even if our viewers and listeners choose to subscribe, so that's another way that they can receive some information from me, because my idea is centered on inner development, really.
Yeah. Okay.
So, down to earth living with a cosmic flair. That's my motto.
I love it. I've enjoyed every part of this conversation.
Me too.
It was very enlightening for me, and just hearing your story was fun as well. So if you hang on 1 second, I'm just going to hit stop on some of these things, and I just want to talk to you for one more minute.
Oh, sure.
Okay?
Yes, of course.
Hang on one.
Of course.